and just by accident have all these symbols put in it. It's very well thought out. And even on Oprah, when Lady Gaga was talking about how much effort she puts into the symbolism of her videos and her performances, she spends every waking hour, dictating and deciding what's going to go into her live act. So these people are not ignorant of what they're doing. They're very, very well aware of it. They're very, very conscious of what they're doing.
Mm. Well, that's just that's incredible, and in that sense, I think they have again, I'm back to the advisors, the Grima Wormtongue on the side behind the stage that we never see as well. I think that she and many other performers and people that are in the limelight have these kind of people behind the scene as well, that they go to the mythological record to dig stuff out as well to present to us, because as many psychologists know, even people in the marketing business these days, like Rapai, the Frenchman who goes to the mythological aspect to things and the psychological aspect of things all the time to help to sell products for these big companies, and they know that they can dip into the archetypal record, if you know what I mean, or the mythological record, because people inherently are gonna kind of resonate with those symbols as well. So absolutely, there's awareness there, but also, granted, I feel that there's a certain level that is not planned as well, kind of behind it, like the subtextual, subliminal stuff that's going on, that they themselves might not even be aware of. And in many cases, I think that we can see that coming through as well. People who do research and study many of these people, I think a lot of stuff is coming up that they themselves might not even have been aware of that they were doing in their performances or in their movies or what have you. What do you think, Steve?
That would be incredible to me if the whole like Lady Gaga phenomenon and Jay-Z and these people are coached and are actually not fully aware of what they're doing. I think it might be a mixture. But I can't. It doesn't sit well in my mind.
You don't tie in the like mind control aspect here as well, because some researchers do. They say that they're hyper managed, many of these performers and artists and actors.
Maybe even Manchurian candidates, that kind of thing.
Sure,
I just watched Martin Scorsese's incredible new film with Leonardo DiCaprio, Shutter Island. Have you heard of that one?
No, I have not.
And then, look at that. Leonardo DiCaprio, he's got two signs of the zodiac in his name, you know what I mean? He's got Capricorn and Leo. So anyway, this film is unique in the way that it's going to divide people pretty neatly between paranoids and non-paranoids. And what I mean by that is they present a storyline of a character who may or may not be insane, and the conclusion of the film is going to be directly tied to which one of those avenues that you resonate with, right? And it's the evidence supporting each possibility is very significant and equally substantial in my mind. And I think that people that are more into the alternative perceptions community are going to be okay with the less safe outcome of that film. Again, there's a phrase at the end of the movie that could be conveyed as a Manchurian candidate catchphrase, where they say something to snap them out of it, or to snap them into it to make them their super soldiers or whatever it is.
The key words or whatever.
Ben Kingsley says to Leonardo DiCaprio, "Why are you all wet, baby?" And when he says that, it shifts the entire movie's presentation, similar to like in Fight Club when Edward Norton realizes that he's both Tyler Durden and Edward Norton at the same time. It shows that dynamic, that split in one's mind, that split in consciousness. Again, back to dualism and polarity. It is tied to Manchurian candidates. If you take the paranoid route and you believe that story to be the true one, and you believe that people can be brainwashed and dunked underwater and given psychedelics and hallucinogens until they comply or until they're mentally so cracked that they believe whatever story that you put in their head, then yes, I do believe that they are capable of having lapses in memory, lapses of time, not being fully conscious or aware of their actions because they have been basically made to have a split personality disorder.
Absolutely. I mean, and in one way, do you think, and as you prefaced before, Steve, as you said, that you don't believe that the symbols or the symbolism behind this itself is dangerous. It's dangerous when we're unaware of it. So I'm prefacing that in terms of the next phrase I want to ask you in that sense. Do you think that our minds are being fractured if we are watching these films from the perspective that we're not aware of the symbolism in them? Or are we participants in that sense in the subtle, if you will, then mind control that is going on inside the entertainment industry and business? What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. I think that the people that do not have the foresight or the knowledge to see some of these symbols and signs as not necessarily being scary or oppressive or inducing fear suffer quite a deal, Henrik. That's why we see the world in the state that it is right now. how there's so much panic and mental disorder. And, you walk into a CVS or a pharmacy and you see endless rows of different narcotics and anti-anxiety medication and, bipolar disorder medication. And why a lot of these things would never exist in the first place if the powers that be simply tried to run society in a way that was catering to enlightening people and instead of having all these encryptions and codes. What killed Superman? What was Superman's only bane, Henrik? It was kryptonite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Encryptions. And that's what's killing the human race. That's what's killing us, is we're not privy to these symbols. And when we do think that we catch scent of it, when we do think that we're seeing a pattern, people call us schizophrenic. They call us autistic.
Yeah.
They start to label us with all these mental disorders, like, oh, you're reading into things too much. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'm actually uncovering something that's very ancient, and if everybody was taught this in schools, maybe society would be a lot different than it is now. Maybe people should start thinking like that instead of being oppressed and fearful of it. And I think that we are. I think that we slowly are. I mean, you can't deny that, the popularity of Red Ice and the popularity of alternative perceptions community right now is skyrocketing. People are fascinated with this stuff, and they want to learn. They're like sponges. I know I am. I'm a sponge for this knowledge. And anytime that I find somebody that has broken a few codes or has made some simple synchro correlations that I hadn't seen before, I feel like I'm on cloud nine. I feel fantastic. So it is a very, very profound experience. It can bring a lot of joy into your life. So.
Absolutely, and I think that's a vital point in that sense, and the key, going back to what Jordan Maxwell said before, that it's important to become symbol literate, and again the interpretation of it or how we choose to apply it, that's obviously an individual thing, and if we deem it as evil or whatever, that's our own kind of personal take on it, but at least being aware that the symbols are out there and how they're working on us and from what the source, so to speak, where they're coming from in terms of mythology and what they mean, because so many people again are coincidence theorists. As soon as you put two things together, then just as you said, Steve, there's like, nah, you're thinking too much, man. you're reading stuff into it. There's not there,
Yeah. I know. That's why a lot of these things have been made forbidden. Like I was saying before, they made pi. The symbol of pi, the sacred numerology and sacred geometry, they made it a double-edged sword. So in esoteric tradition, it's sort of a forbidden word to utter, because if the gods indeed came down here to confuse our language, as it says in the Tower of Babel story, they wanted to confuse our language. Why did they want to, Henrik? What were we doing when we were building the Tower of Babel, if that was a real event, or even a mythology? We were trying to bridge a connection between us and the divine, between us and God. And the story makes it seem like an external one, like we're seeking God outside of ourselves. But what we really were doing was trying to find the God within, the sun and the light within ourselves. So we don't have to drink a Corona for light, and we don't have to drink a Monstar energy drink to gain our energy, because we're made of energy. Because there's one stream of consciousness, and we've always had the tools and parameters to do whatever we want, because we are of the stars. So why are all these products suggesting that we need to ingest them or imbibe them in order to reach divinity when we are divine?
And that's the faulty version that we're being offered again of the spirit of spiritual essence. I know Michael Sarn has talked about this before, that they put light, for instance, on products, or they have, again, just going back to solar symbolism and things like that they put the spiritual aspirations that many people have, albeit unconsciously, in their lives. They want to have enlightenment in that sense, but now they're not taking the spiritual route; they're taking the commercial route to that enlightenment.
Exactly. What is someone doing when they're drinking a Sprite? I mean, what is a Sprite, Henrik? It's not a carbonated drink loaded with sugar and bad stuff for your body. It's a mythological creature that creates its own bioluminescence. So you're drinking light. Yeah. You're made of light. You're made of energy. You're not created or destroyed. One of the wonderful things in Avatar is how the Na'vi were able to deal with the idea of death, how energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's only borrowed. So when they bury their dead, it's like they're giving energy back to the earth, back to their ancestors. And that's very beautiful imagery, if it wasn't for the polarity pitted against or featured in that movie, where the military-industrial complex is, destroying their home world, their home tree, which is connected to the gods of their ancestors, I think it would be even more powerful. But again, people cannot learn these lessons still unless it's presented in opposites, and that needs to stop in our pop culture, because there's no such thing as opposites. We've created it.